The poor student Bill, supported by my parents, was the apple of my eye. He took whatever he wanted from me and I never complained. He used my parents' card to treat people at work, and even booked an entire hotel to woo his first love. Everyone envied him as a rich prince, but when no one was around, he would humiliate me often. Stop clinging to me. Have some self-respect, will you? I can spend your money, but don't show up in front of me and Katie. Still, I hopelessly fell for him and married him, ignoring my parents' objections. On our wedding day, Katie got into a car accident and needed a blood transfusion. So he dragged me to the hospital and drained me dry. So what if you have some money? When you die, won't all your family money still become mine? I came back to the day he just joined my company and planned to treat everyone. I asked my parents to cut off his card. Even a dog will wag its tail to get fed. You're worse than a dog. Today, I'm treating everyone. There's a new trendy dessert shop downstairs. Order whatever you fancy. Bill's flamboyant voice echoed, startling me. My colleagues burst into cheers, singing Bill's praises. What a dream colleague. How did I get so lucky? Bill's so generous. I had seen that shop before. The exquisite desserts resemble art pieces, and can go for hundreds or thousands each, with an average cost of 5 figures. Bill smiled smugly, his gaze stuck on Katie not far away. In a tender voice, he asked, Katie, what do you want? I remember you like strawberry cake, so I asked the shop to reserve one for you. Katie lowered her head shyly, unable to hide her smile. Bill, how did you know I like strawberry cake? I remember everything about you, Bill said to Katie with deep affection. It made me sick to watch. How could I have been so blind in my past life to fall for him? Just then, a colleague responsible for taking orders handed the phone to me. Cora, what would you like? I shook my head. I'm not having anything, thanks. Oh, Bill's treating, and you're not eating. This is a one-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Katie's snarky voice came over. If you don't eat today, relying on yourself, who knows when you'll get to taste it next time? Bill chimed in too. Yeah, Cora, don't do things that harm unity. We're all colleagues. How about sharing some afternoon tea? The colleague taking orders rolled their eyes. You don't want anything. Don't act all high and mighty. Yeah, this Cora usually doesn't like to socialize. Really thinks she's some big shot heiress. Waste Bill's good intentions. If it were me, I'd die of disgust. I looked at their petty faces, and let out a cold laugh inside. With hundreds of people at the company, the bill was easily in the tens of thousands. Bill, are you sure you can afford it? I taunted Bill. He paused, then scoffed. Of course, I can pay for it. Even if I treat everyone for a month straight, it's just pocket money for me. Hearing this, my colleagues were more convinced Bill was a secret trust fund kid and flattered him. They mocked me instead. As if you can afford it, stingy but won't let others be generous. Bill, you won't be the heir of some big corporation, will you? I heard the heir to our board was joining our company. Bill wouldn't be him, would he? Bill smiled modestly, not denying it. Watching their performance was nothing but amusing, because the card Bill was using was actually a supplementary card from my parents. And Bill, he was just a poor student my family had supported for over a decade. Just then, my phone buzzed with a message from Bill. Cora, don't spill the beans. I promised to have dinner with you tonight. I immediately deleted and blocked his contact, walked out of the office, and called my dad. Dad, cut off the supplementary card I gave to Bill, right now. Dad was obviously shocked by my words, silent for a few seconds before he spoke. What's wrong? Did Bill bully you? Cora, what happened? Tell me, I'll handle it for you. Hearing my dad's concerned words, my nose stung, and tears welled up. In my past life, my parents tried to talk some sense into me, saying Bill was no good, advising me to stay away from him. But I was blinded, infatuated with Bill's outlook, deaf to anyone's advice. I foolishly believed Bill loved me. He only pretended to be cold because he was insecure. I naively thought that as long as I treated him well enough, one day he'd understand my feelings and willingly stay by my side. I let him act lawlessly in my company, enjoying all the resources my parents provided him, foolishly thinking my love could change him. I threw caution to the wind and married him, laying my true heart bare in front of him, only to be met with betrayal and exploitation. On our wedding day, his true love Katie had a car accident and needed blood. He didn't hesitate to drag me to the hospital, draining my blood to save her. Even as I lay on the cold surgical table, I pleaded weakly, considering my family had supported him for so many years, to let me go. But he merely looked down on me with a cruel smirk, spitting out words that shattered my hopes. I've had enough of you using money to threaten me. Now your family money is all mine. After my death, my parents were heartbroken, and the company was taken over by Bill and Katie. And Bill, he got his wish and lived happily ever after with his Katie. becoming a dream couple CEO and wife. Remembering everything from my past life filled me with a burning hatred, wishing to tear Bill and Katie apart. Dad, I'm fine, I can handle this on my own, but please cut off Bill's card, now. I took a deep breath, trying to suppress my hatred, thinking you could use my family's money to show off. Dream on. Soon, everyone had picked their desserts, just waiting for payment. The last person exaggeratedly handed the menu to Bill, smiling obsequiously. It's $55,000 in total. So generous, Mr. Bill. Bill took the phone, dismissing it. What's $55,000? I'll even take everyone out for sushi later after work. Louder cheers resounded, and I rolled my eyes. Someone without even $500 in his pocket, and his pretending to be something. He fiddled with his phone, the triumphant smile on his face visibly faltering. I knew he found out the card wasn't working. He pocketed his phone, turned towards me, and demanded, Cora, step outside with me. I have something to say. I put down my phone, crossed my arms, and looked at him expressionlessly. Just say it here. What do you want? Just as Bill was about to speak, Katie, who's been standing beside him, suddenly chimed in. Hey Cora, don't get it twisted. Bill just wants you to order some of your favorite dishes. No need to be shy, she said, locking her arm around Bill's while subtly brushing her chest against his arm. Bill didn't push her away. Instead, he wrapped his arm around Katie's waist and smiled at me. Yeah, Cora, you've always looked down on your co-workers. Now's a great chance to be a team player. Order whatever you like. It's on me today. Our other co-workers started nodding along, chiming in with their own comments about me not appreciating Bill's gesture. Yeah, Cora, Bill's being so nice to you. Why are you acting like this? He's so generous, and you're just leaving him hanging. Seems pretty ungrateful, don't you think? With all the flattery, Bill's grin only widened. He grabbed my wrist, ignoring my resistance, and dragged me outside. Katie, hang here, I'll be back soon, he said, leading me away. Katie, playing the part of the understanding friend, nodded with a smile, but shot me a glare before we left. Bill dragged me to a corner in the hallway, frustration clear in his voice. What's up with the card? Can't swipe it. You mess with it, he demanded. I shook off his grip, coolly staring back. Bill, do you think money grows on trees at my house? Why should I foot the bill for your colleagues? He argued back, saying, this is for work. I mean, to smoothly integrate into the team, win people over. Isn't it for our future? I couldn't help but laugh at his lame justification. Thanks, but we don't need to buy people's affection. You want to? Use your own money. Seeing I wasn't budging, Bill thought for a moment, then smiled. Cora, you're just jealous. I'm just sticking close to Katie for work. Don't be unreasonable. And hey, I'm going to inherit your family's company. Every rich guy has girls on the side. I agreed to marry you. What more do you want? He made a move to touch me, but I stepped back, disgusted. Bill, have a look at yourself. Seriously, who do you think you are? You're just a poor student my family helped. Do you really see yourself as a big shot? Exposed, Bill was furious. Don't push it. I'm telling you. Just unlock the card. I'll treat everyone to this afternoon tea, and I'll have dinner with you every night this week. I looked at him as if he were insane. Dinner with me? Bill, you really think too highly of yourself. I wouldn't waste my time. Bill grumbled. 2 weeks. That's my final offer. I rolled my eyes. Get some help. Seriously, dogs at least wag their tails for food. But you, Bill, you're using everything I've paid for. Come on, even street dogs are better than that. I turned to leave, and Bill tried to grab me again, but Barry appeared in the hallway. Cora, the chairman wants to see you, Barry said, expressionless. Bill had no choice but to let me walk away with Barry, shouting after me, you've got 10 minutes to unlock it, or forget it. Ignoring him, I scoffed to myself, like he was actually important. Barry led me to the break room. I thought my dad wanted to see me. I saw Bill hassling you. Took it upon myself to help out. Hope that's okay, Barry replied. Barry was the only one in the company who knew who I really was. My family had helped him financially, too, but he was different from Bill. Honest, ambitious, and never flashy. After college, he started working at my dad's company, worked his way up, and soon became a key assistant. My parents always admired him, praised him. In my past life, after I died, Bill kicked him out, but Barry climbed back up and eventually took down Bill in the business world. I thanked him sincerely. How could I blame you, Barry? Also, just call me by my name, not Miss. He smiled. No need to thank me, it's nothing. Then he added, Cora, you seem different than before. I raised an eyebrow. Different how? Before, you were all about Bill. Now, you seem clear-headed, determined. I laughed, self-deprecatingly. I was a fool before. Not anymore. Barry looked like he wanted to say more, but I stood up with a smile, let's go back and watch the show. I wanted to see how Bill would handle things without my secondary card. Back in the office, everybody had fancy dessert boxes on their desks. Whoa, where'd Bill find a sucker to pay? Seeing me return, Katie rushed over, her face full of annoyance. Cora, this is unacceptable. Bill lent you his card, and you froze it, making it nearly impossible for us to get afternoon tea. Her accusatory tone made it seem like it was her own card. Yeah, Cora, you're so unreliable. Good thing Katie covered for us, the others echoed. So, Katie was the one who paid. These folks, always indifferent to me, now act like Bill's personal spokespeople. Pretending to be helpless, Bill shrugged and gently told Katie, it's okay, next time I'll repay you tenfold. Everyone knows Cora's situation, was just trying to help her. Who would have guessed she? Katie blushed bashfully but didn't forget to throw me a challenging look. Bill, watch who you trust. Don't let it happen again. I interrupted Katie with a derisive snort. And Bill, where's this tenfold money coming from? Katie's voice cut through, sharp as ever. What do you mean by that? Think I have no money? You broke girl, how dare you argue with Bill? Her eyes landed on Barry behind me, lighting up with realization. Oh, I see. You hooked up with the executive. Pointing at me, her bitter tone continued. Let me tell you, even if you cling to a VP, Bill will still run the group in the future. Barry's eyebrows furrowed like he wanted to correct her, but seeing my slight shake of the head, he kept quiet. Let them feel high and mighty for now. The higher you climb, the harder you fall. I mocked Katie. Dogs just love chasing after poop. You two make the perfect pair. Who do you think you are, talking to me like that? Katie fumed and pointed at me. Believe me, I can have Bill fire you. I crossed my arms, laughing at her. Sure, let's see how he's gonna fire me. Bill pretended to sigh, looking all disappointed. Cora, how can you talk to Katie like this? Gave you a chance, and you blew it. He pulled out his phone, acting as if he was making a call. I chuckled inside. Bill, where's your confidence from? Soon enough, a middle-aged man, with a beer belly and greasy hair walked in. His face was all blubber, and he scanned the office with disdain before locking eyes with me. You're Cora. I glanced at his badge. He's the HR manager. Before I could open my mouth, he continued, your work sucks. The company's decided to fire you. Right now, pack your stuff and get out. Katie burst into gleeful laughter. Cora, did you hear that? You're fired. Go on, pack up and leave. I looked at that greasy face of his and a thought hit me. How does he look a bit like Bill? I remembered those resumes Bill showed me once. Back when I had a crush on him, I let anyone he recommended get in, including Katie. Who knew he even got in all his relatives? Before I could say anything, Barry, who had been quiet, stood up. He walked over to the manager, speaking calmly. What gives you the right to arbitrarily fire employees? The man obviously didn't know Barry and dismissed him with a glance. Who are you with? Do you even belong in this conversation? Keep meddling and you're out too. Barry ignored his rant, nodded at me, and left the office. I knew he was going to check how that manager got in. I had planned to reveal who I was, but I changed my mind. I wanted to see how Bill's relatives were running amok in my company. I turned my focus back to Bill and his uncle, ignoring their yelling. Want to fire me? Get the chairman here. You two got the chops. Bill looked a bit embarrassed at my unmoved face. He coughed, giving himself an out. Cora, just apologize to me and Katie, then maybe I'll let you stay. I laughed out loud. Bill, apologize to you. Who do you think you are? Not cussing you out got you feeling uneasy. You both got nothing to do. Go play in manure. Bill turned red with fury, jabbing a finger at me, words failing him. Finally, he spat out, furiously, Cora, just you wait. You'll regret this. He dragged Katie away in a huff, with Bill's uncle hurrying after them. The office fell silent. The other colleagues kept their heads down, pretending to be busy, afraid of getting dragged into it. The company's been calm these days. I cut off Bill's cards. He's got no cash to show off or fund his high life. Heard he's living off Katie's dime now. Let's see how long they can keep up the act. Barry and I have been busy investigating the backdoor entries. Got enough evidence, just waiting to take them all down. That noon, I walked out from the pantry and bumped into Bill and Katie talking by the stairs. Bill, when will your dad unblock your card? You've almost drained my paycheck now, Katie whined, making me sick. Damn that Cora. Must have Barry saying crap to my dad about me. That's why he cut my card. What now then? I wanted a new bag next month. Don't worry, babe. Once Dad hands over the company to me, Cora and Barry are out. Buy whatever you want then. I sneered. Claim the top spot in the group without a care. Really? You're so sweet. Katie gushed, clinging to Bill. By the way, it's my birthday tomorrow. How are you gonna celebrate for me? Bill caught on immediately. Babe's birthday deserves a big bash. Let's have a party at my family's villa. Sound good? Really? That's the priciest area in town. Katie squealed. Of course, Have it your way, said Bill, his hand slipping under Katie's clothes. Oh, you naughty. Katie flirted, not refusing. I heard some sickening sounds next. I hid around the corner, watching them flaunt their affection disgustingly. A villa. Suddenly, I remembered the villa Bill was talking about was mine. A gift from my dad on my 18th birthday. When I had the hots for Bill, I foolishly gave him a key, letting him crash anytime. He had snubbed it, saying, I'm not interested in filthy money. Don't try to insult me with your riches. I pulled out my phone and texted the housekeeper. Change the locks on the villa and list the inventory. Want to show off with my stuff? Not gonna happen. That evening after work, the office buzzed like a hive. Bill's villa, that's on prime real estate. No kidding. Heard the garden's huge. Even has a private pool and theater. I gotta snap some pics for social media, make M jealous. Colleagues excitedly planned their visit to Bill's fancy villa. Not one said a word to me though. To them, I'm just about to be kicked out. I didn't mind, waited for them all to leave, then called the housekeeper. Pick me up from work. On it, Miss Cora. Surprisingly, Barry himself came to fetch me. He flashed a smile as he opened the car door. Let's go. It's been a while since we checked the place out. We traded knowing smiles. As we rolled into the villa neighborhood, a crowd was gathered at my villa's gate. What's the deal? Didn't you say this was your place? How come you can't get us in? Yeah, seriously, are you bluffing or what? We've been waiting for half an hour now. Bill was sweating buckets, trying to get the key into the lock, but it just wouldn't go in. Did you forget the apartment number? Katie was getting anxious too. She had invited friends over, and if they couldn't get in, she'd be super embarrassed. Their co-workers were standing around the villa entrance, throwing out ideas. The sign says it all. How could it be wrong? Right? If it's your own home, how come you can't get in? Bill tried to explain. You know I've got a lot of houses. Maybe I grabbed the wrong key. The co-worker sighed, looking a bit disappointed. I casually walked over, and Katie spotted me right away. Cora, what are you doing here? You're not welcome, she shouted. Why wouldn't I be welcome in my own house? I said with a slight smirk, my tone calm. Katie looked at me with clear disdain, like she'd just heard some hilarious joke. Your house, don't be ridiculous. How could someone like you afford a villa here? Ignoring her, I turned to Bill and taunted. Yeah right, Bill. I thought you said this was your house. Why can't you even get through the door? Seeing me, Bill relaxed, assuming I came to make peace. He puffed up and ordered, Cora, great timing. Hand over the key. Katie was puzzled. Why would she have your key, Bill? Bill, gritting his teeth, said, she's actually my housekeeper's daughter. Normally, she manages my properties. Who knew she'd give me the wrong key to make a fool of me? Wow, a housekeeper's daughter thinking she can mess with her employer. No shame at all. I found it amusing. Did Bill really think I wouldn't call his bluff? Don't rich people leave property keys with their housekeepers? Can't you even contact yours? Bill's face darkened, pulling out his phone to call the housekeeper, but nobody answered. He pointed at me. What did you do? I shrugged. Aren't you supposed to be the big shot of the company? Can't even manage a housekeeper. The co-workers glanced at Bill suspiciously. I chuckled, then called out loudly to the villa, housekeeper, open the door. The villa's front door slowly opened. The housekeeper stepped out, bowing respectfully upon seeing me. Miss Cora, welcome home. Katie's eyes practically popped out. Who are you calling miss? Of course, our Miss Cora, the housekeeper replied, as if it were obvious. How could she be the miss? She's poor. Katie gestured at Bill. They are clearly here. Look at them. She sneered, convinced that I had installed my father, the housekeeper, to play along. Yet, before the housekeeper could explain, everyone rushed into the villa, ignoring him. Wow, this garden is massive. The decor, the furniture, feels just like a palace. Co-workers poured in, amazed at the luxury. Bill, you're so humble, living in such a grand villa and still working with us. Hearing their flattery, Bill grinned with pride. Katie clung on his arm, acting as if she was the queen of the place. I watched it all with cold indifference. Just a bunch of clowns performing. In the living room, a sharp-eyed co-worker noticed a painting that looked just like me. Hey, this painting looks a lot like Cora. Before Bill could explain, Katie jumped in. She probably got her housekeeper dad to hang it up, so she could pretend to be the heiress here. Then, she yanked the painting off and slammed it down, shattering it. The painting had been a gift from my father for my 18th birthday, commissioned from a master artist, worth a fortune. Katie even smashed everything feminine looking in the room. A few ass-kissing co-workers joined in too. Crash after crash echoed through the villa. I watched them coldly, voice icy. Katie, you think you can just break my things and my painting? Can you afford to pay for it? Katie scoffed. It's just a lousy painting. What's it worth? She pulled $200 from her bag and tossed it at me. Is this enough? I can add more. I laughed in disbelief. Just $200. I motioned Barry to call the cops. Even $2 million wouldn't be enough. Wait until you lose everything. Bill looked worried as I got serious. Katie didn't mean it. It's just a painting. Why make a big deal? I sneered. Just a painting. If you're so generous, why don't you pay up for her? I know I've been seeing Katie lately, and you're jealous, but don't make a scene. Let's talk later. I'll give you whatever you want, I promise. Then he shut his eyes, looking resigned to his fate. I was furious. I'd never seen someone so shameless. I slapped Bill across the face. Are you delusional? If you can't speak properly, just shut up. The co-workers were stunned. They didn't expect me to openly confront Bill. They backed away, wary of getting caught up in my wrath. Barry chuckled beside me. I shot him a glare until he began going through his papers. Barry pulled out the property deed. This villa belongs to Miss Cora. He said it so plainly, yet it had a weight to it. Everyone froze, staring between me and the deed, shocked. No way. Isn't this Bill's villa? A co-worker stammered out. Bill, what's the deal here? Someone boldly asked. Cora might actually be the true heir. She must be. Bill conned us all. Bill looked pale, speechless. Barry coldly stated, you all trespassed into a private residence. We can charge you for breaking and entering. Panic set in among the co-workers. We just came because Katie and Bill invited us. It has nothing to do with us. Yeah, Bill brought us. We didn't know anything. They began pleading with me, trying to distance themselves. I sneered. You think you can just leave after smashing my things? Cora, don't push it too far. Finally, Bill couldn't take it anymore. It's just some junk. I'll pay you back. Pay? With what? I pointed at the broken portrait. That was a masterpiece commissioned by my dad, priceless. How will you compensate? Bill fell silent, not knowing what to say. Katie was freaking out too. She never thought things would get this far. Cora, I messed up. I didn't know the villa was yours. And I had no idea that painting was so valuable. Please, let me go, she pleaded, tears rolling down her face. Realizing your mistake now. Too late, I replied coldly. Barry, call the cops. No, don't call the police. Cora, I'm begging you, don't. Katie's face turned pale, and she collapsed to the floor. I looked down at her with no sympathy whatsoever. The police arrived soon and took them away. Besides a few who snuck in through Bill and were corrupt at the company, and those who broke my stuff, I let the other colleagues go. I endured all these days just for today. None of them could escape. Katie's birthday moved from the villa to the detention center. I refused to mediate as the victim. Those colleagues broke small items worth thousands, so their families paid me back on the spot. I naturally let it go, but of course, they could no longer stay in the company. As for Katie, she needed to pay back $5 million. No way someone who's only worked a few years could cough up that much. Bill begged me. You win. I'll marry you. Just let Katie off the hook. I rubbed my wrist, smirking. Didn't I hit you hard enough before? You think I'm playing games? Bill, fuming with anger, walked away. Just wait. Don't think, just cause you have some cash everyone has to beg you. Bill and his relatives all got fired from the company. Even my dad praised me for once. This internal cleanup couldn't have succeeded without you. I smiled. I finally broke free from the fate of my past life, protecting myself and my family. I made sure to keep tabs on their situation. Heard Bill was working multiple jobs a day, living in the crappiest house, selling all his luxury items just to pay off Katie's debt. But soon enough, Bill came begging to me. Cora, I know I was wrong. I truly know now. His face was full of regret, eyes red. Without money, love means nothing. I'm willing to come back to you. Please give me a chance. It sounded like a joke, and I couldn't help but laugh. Bill, have you no shame? Don't crawl out of the sort to scare people. Just as he was about to say more, I had security escort him out. Later on, Bill and Katie split up. Bill's opportunistic nature was exposed. Without that woman, at least he could live a little easier. But no way would I let him off. Leveraging my dad's influence, I made sure no company in town would hire them. Desperate and jobless, they drifted aimlessly. I also sent some debt collectors to Katie's rental. In her rush to pay off debts, she got swindled into going to Southeast Asia, supposedly for big bucks. Not long after, somehow she dragged Bill along with her, and they disappeared for good. I stopped caring about the $5 million long ago. I built more wealth on my own. I realized how joyful it is to be an independent, wealthy woman. Yet I had my concerns. Barry was constantly hanging around me. Cora, let's grab dinner after work. Cora, wanna catch a movie this weekend? Cora, how about I give you a ride home? I found him really annoying, but I couldn't help but see how long he'd stick around. After all, I've been fooled before. This time, I'm making sure to see things clearly.